Hey everybody, Wayne here. Welcome. Take a few minutes as people trickle on in. I see there's already a few of you here in the stream in the chat waiting. Great to see you guys. Trickle on in. Steve, how's it going, Steve? Should make an interesting discussion. Looking forward to it. So, topic of today's show, and update my notes here. A little cheat sheet, not Wargame components. That was last show. Wargaming popularity. Roman Grognard, more popular. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that. I think there's a lot of good things going on in wargaming right now. Christopher, great to see you. Hope your weekend went well also. Charles, you're here on time. I was looking forward to your 20 comments after the fact on the video. I'm teasing. I like the passion. Vince, great to see you, man. And Wayne, how's your cute little baby today? Actually, fantastic news. He is home. So he is in the other room. He's in the living room with my wife right now. My wife's taking off a couple weeks, and then I'll be working, and then I'm actually going to go probably part-time reserves for a few months probably. So sad to say the career in public service doesn't pay as much as the private sector. Who would have thunk it, right? So I'll probably take a few months, like not off, just part-time reserve while Vern is home. But yeah, baby Vern is home. I was thinking about showing him off on here, but then I'm like, okay, never gonna see my baby. Like, oh baby, oh. I think he's a little cutie pie, little handsome devil. A lot of people say he looks just like me, so of course, then handsome devil. I'm kidding. But he's home. It's wonderful news. So excited. I can't tell you, I'm a little tired. He sleeps pretty well at night, actually, but overall, just finally home. So for those who don't know, quick recap: my son Vern, born at 24 weeks, 5 days, very premature, and he had a long journey in the hospital, in the NICU in St. Louis Children's Hospital, primarily. But after 7 months, he is home. Like, he just got home 3 days ago. So it's been fantastic. It was a great, slightly belated Father's Day gift. So yeah, so it's noon here, and what do we got here? It is gorgeous today. It's 72 degrees, 73 degrees. Guys, it was I worked yesterday. We had our big celebration, it's early. They do what's called Freedom Fest. It's big early 4th of July celebration on Saturday in my town where I work. And we had to work that, obviously, parade and event and stuff. It was over 100 degrees. It was 90, high 90s, and then 105, 106 with humidity. It just ridiculous, especially with all the gear on. So today is a game changer of a day. So just wonderful. So let me get down here in the comments. Thank you. Yeah. It is happy. Yes, sir, Steve. Little man's home. So excited. I can't get over how excited I am. Have you changed any diapers yet? I have. So I am the oldest of, I'm different, obviously, but I'm the oldest of 5 boys. So when I reached like 13, because see, back in the day, right? By the time I was 13, my mom was like, "Oh, you can babysit, right, for like all night style." So I would change diapers then, make bottles, stuff like that. I'm not a pro. So my wife is like amazing maternal instinct, and she is like taking to being a mom like no one's business. And she's fantastic in so many ways, but like just stepped up to the plate, and it's been like mom of the year already in 3 days. So, but yes, I've changed some diapers. And so he is, since he came home early, or not early, he didn't come home early, but he, was preemie and all that. He's on oxygen, so he has an oxygen tank. He only needs half liter. For those who don't know, that's pretty low, half liter low flow. So he has the nose cannula, and then around And he has a G tube, so he has a actual tube goes to his stomach. So he does feed via mouth as much as he can, and then whenever he can't feed in the bottle, you then have a little machine that pumps through the tube into his stomach directly. So it's a little wild, a little different, and of course, to keep track of his oxygen, since he's on oxygen, he has what's called a pulse ox attached to his foot. So like you would, when you go to the hospital or you go to the doctor, and they stick a thing on your finger just to read, the amount of oxygen in your blood. He has that permanently, but attached to him, right, like taped to his foot. So since he's a little baby and a small baby, it's all just like all around his foot. It's not his big toe or anything. People are asked like, oh, on his big toe. It's like, well, no, for him, it's his full foot. So almost as much premium as me. I'm on term baby. They get bigger fast. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, congratulations. That's so cool, man. I'm finding you find out people out there that have gone through it and all that, and it's just I don't know if more people to have kids. Oh, I'm already planning to see what I can do to get him involved, but seems like a little early, but we'll see. Morning from SoCal, Southern California. Bill, good morning. All right, so I'm sure we have our usual people here from Canada and the United States, and hopefully my European friends. Carl's at a hospital a bit. I didn't want to exit. Oh, yeah. He didn't want to come home, apparently. He was excited to get out, but then he didn't realize that once he got out so early, he had to wait in the hospital forever. So, all right. So on to today's show. We're talking about today increasing Wargame's popularity. But before we dive into the topic, I want to chat about the state of the channel, what I've been covering, what I plan to cover, etc. So currently on the channel, and I wrapped it up, is this week I completed my series on A Most Fearful Sacrifice, right, from Herman Lutman and Flying Big Games. I did my usual recon unboxing. I did a full tutorial, a dedicated tutorial video. I did a complete playthrough of the Slaughter Pen scenario, and I did one of my reviews. So now, during my review, I described A Most Fearful Sacrifice as the definitive Gettysburg game on the market today. So high praise for the game. I think it has earned it. You guys be the judges as well. So check out my videos if you'd like to see the game in action. Obviously, really enjoyed it. It was one that obviously I love Blind Swords. That uses the Black Swan system. So a newer system has changed that where they Herm and his team and other people can simulate larger American Civil War battles while still making them playable type of thing. Now, it's not a small map, right? There's like 2 huge maps, but it has a bunch of scenarios that are smaller. So even though I cannot play the grand campaign, grand game, I still was able to play a bunch of scenarios. So love the system, love the game. Gorgeous production. Rules are great. It's just absolutely fantastic. So, so besides the Most Fearful Sacrifice, I know that Steve, if you're around, you're spoiler, not like a secret. You're posted about it on Content World. I know you're designing a Blind Swords game, and we talked about that a little bit. I want to say I prefer Blind Swords. I started with Blind Swords. I just love Blind Swords. The system, sort of the OG system, American Civil War system that Herman Lutman created, I still prefer, I guess. But Black Swan is excellent and much better than a Devil's to Pay. Sorry, Herm or Mark or any of those guys, if you happen to be watching or you watch this later. I just did Devil's to Pay. Did not click with me, but Most Fearful Sacrifice absolutely clicked with me. So I don't know what it was. Well, I do know what it was. I talked about it in my review. So next, so after Most Fearful Sacrifice, I did a video on War Diary magazine, which you guys can see right here. One of the issues, part of it anyway. It released on Friday. My video did. I took a look at 2 of the recent issues. Now, those were sent by Roy Matheson, the editor over there. So thank you, Roy. I found the magazines to be professional, well put together production, diverse range of views and content. Okay, they could use some more solitaire wargaming coverage, but besides that, I was impressed. And although War Diary doesn't come with a game, right? You also get an entire year subscription for less than the price of a game. So I did go ahead and subscribe. They sent me a couple issues just to look at, but I went ahead and subscribed, support them, and make sure I get future issues too. So, please check out the video if you haven't. It's got on the lower end of my views, which is understandable. It's not, you have a video, when I have a video that's dedicated to a particular game or topic, people, that's a driver by itself, right? Well, if I'm introducing something newer or less popular, you're not going to have that automatic driver, right? Because say instead of 20% of my subscribers going, whoa, I want to check that out because I know I want to check out A Most Fearful Sacrifice. I've seen it around the internet. I've seen it at the store, whatever. I want to know more about it. I'm going to check out Wayne's videos. For something like War Diary Magazine, right? Like, you may have never heard of that. You may not know about it. You may have only heard mentioned, but you don't really know anything. So when that video pops up, you're not thinking to yourself, oh, I better check that out. You're just like, I don't know, maybe not. So videos like that get a little fewer views, but all the views are appreciated. And I heard back from them that some people that watched the video, subscribed and bought some back issues, and they mentioned my channel. They mentioned me. So, and that's one thing I've said this before, but I do really appreciate is that if my videos encourage you and guide you into buying something, please, if there's an opportunity, right? If there's like a comment field, or if it says who do you hear about this from, something like that, or even just send them an email saying, hey, I heard about this game or this series or these magazines or whatever it is from Wayne Hansen, Wayne Hansen's YouTube channel. Let them know that. That's good for, it's good for a lot of reasons. It's good for our community to show that we're an active community, or active wargaming community, that you're able to look at things in the community, that leads to engaging with publishers and sales, right? Which they need to sell stuff to stay in business. They're not getting rich, but they need to sell some stuff to stay in business. It also helps me to get more things to show off to you guys, where they're going to look at it and go, oh, hey, and then they share my videos as well, right? So like I have at this point, I have multiple publishers that post my videos to their website. Right? You go to White Dog Games, you go to even Compass, not my biggest fan, but even they do it. I've seen my videos on GMT now. I've seen my videos. I don't think DVG really posts videos on their website. They share them on Facebook a lot. Trying to think. Who else? I know there's other publishers too. So anyway, they'll post my videos or they'll send them with a newsletter, and which I always really appreciate, of course. So just keep that in mind, you guys. When you pick up something, try to, if you get the opportunity, if it makes sense, if you feel like it, let them know, hey, I picked it up because of Wayne. Is a huge amount of American Civil War material with satellite images of battlefields, etc. Vince says, yeah, you brought the magazine to my attention. I'm being killed by the exchange rate at the moment, though. Ugh, sorry, Vince. Sorry to hear that, man. I know you had mentioned a game too, right, that you were looking at. I think I saw something on Facebook. Something you're looking at. You said the exchange rate, like, I kind of got to wait on it right now. So Christopher says, I ended up grabbing a couple of back issues that had some World War materials, well, it's a digital subscription. They did also mention to them that it was through your video that I found about them. So you were probably one of the people, I would assume, that they noticed that, and they followed up in an email to me and let me know that. So thank you, Christopher. Again, it's not necessary. I don't need it done. It's not like, hey, everyone who orders something, you see them on video, you have to say something. That's not how it works. I don't have promo codes either yet, and not at this point for you guys. Again, I go back to this. I mention it every time just because I like to keep the message out there, right? So if you've heard this 100 times, I don't care, because I want people to understand it. I don't do paid content. I do reserve the right to at some point maybe, but as of now, I don't do any paid content. I take review copies of games, magazines, whatever, wargaming related. Generally, games is his first magazines other than magazine games. I've gotten some magazine war games review copies from Decision Games and Against the Odds magazine. But anyway, so when I show something, it's because I want to share it. It's not just because I was paid to. You don't see that notice up in the corner of the video. It says paid promotion, because it's not. It's not paid at all. And I don't consider a review copy a paid promotion, because I play it and I let you guys know, and I have fun playing it. But there's no financial gain for me on that. I don't make money off the channel. I don't monetize my channel. So if you notice, there's no ads on it, at least none from me. If there's ever ads that pop up, they're not from me. That's from YouTube doing their thing. I don't monetize my channel. I just rely on donations, my Patreon, donations through the PayPal, and then just review copies that are provided so that I can cover all these different games and stuff. Jeffrey Librarian is YouTube with the amazing American Civil War material. That's what I thought, Chris, because you said something about, I don't know if I must have missed the beginning or something, but I assume that's what you meant with a huge amount of American Civil War material, satellite images of battlefields, etc. So Jeffrey the Librarian on YouTube. So we'll check that out. Everyone who's interested in the American Civil War, which I'm one of them, worth checking out. All right, so moving on. Finally, next week, I'm going to begin my series on right there, Scream, Aim, Fire, Pacific. You ever say if I say it fast, Scream, Aim, Fire, it almost sounds like specific. Scream, Aim, Fire, Specific. How specific is it? So the Pacific version from J. Kirkpatrick and Tiny Battle Publishing, which thank you to Mark Walker and Tiny Battle Publishing for providing a review copy. This is a sequel to Scream and Fire, which focuses on the Western Front. You playing, which in the Western Front version, the original version, you played as the Americans against the German AI. Obviously here, the game is set in the Pacific Theater of World War II. You play as the Americans, this time against the Japanese AI. I have extensive coverage. The first one was extensive, but I think like the usual 3 videos, something around that on Scream and Fire, and I definitely intend to do the same here. I should be able to just do, so I already have the recon filmed. That'll be going up Tuesday, so in 2 days. Should be in 2 days. And then I should have I'm trying to get a schedule. We'll see now that my son's home. Who knows exactly how the scheduling stuff's going to go. But I'm trying to get a set schedule where, I do live streams, which by the way, we got to talk about that. So 1 second, we'll talk about the live streams here before we go into the topic. But I would like to do maybe Tuesday, Friday. We'll see though, because now that with the live stream, we'll figure it out. So anyway, so Scream and Fire Pacific, look forward to that. Check those videos out. They'll be starting going up on Tuesday. All right. So before we get into the topic of the week, one final thing, I want to talk about the live stream here, the schedule. So I love doing it. It's really popular. You guys really enjoyed it. Sometimes we've had up to like 30 plus people watching at once, which is crazy for just a random live stream show I started. It's just me. It's not like a crew of people. Some of these shows out there's like 3-4 guys. I saw like the War Room, was it yesterday or something? Had like 6 guys on it at once. It's crazy. This is just me. I've tried looking for a co-host, but it's hard finding someone that fits into my style. I'm very independent. But I think that going forward, starting in like a couple weeks, I'm going to have to change the day of the live stream. I don't think I can do Sundays because what's going to happen is, it's the reason, like I said, I'm going to go, now that my son's home from the hospital, I'm going to go like part-time reserves for a little while anyway, at least a few months. And so my wife will be working, and she works the weekend, which worked great for the Sunday live stream when she was working and I was just me home with the dogs. Now that there's this, baby, kind of got to give him a little more attention. So I don't know. I don't think these Sundays are going to work. So it's probably going to have to be either Monday early, which probably won't work either because they have to be almost too early. It has to be like 10 a.m. So we did a Monday at 10 a.m. So put it to a vote. Monday at 10 a.m. or Thursday or Friday. And those would probably be noon again because I want to keep my overseas viewers able to participate and watch. So you guys let me know what you think. Just I'll mention a little bit later too as different people are on. So just think about what works best for you guys. And I know some people are probably not going to be able to participate anymore, and I hate that. I would love if we just keep it this way, but fortunately, that's family stuff changes it. But I'm going to keep doing live streaming. We'll keep doing weekly live shows because I really enjoy them, and I enjoy working with you guys, participating with you guys, and getting feedback from you guys. So it's a good little community we've got going here, and we're going to keep it going. So just have to mix up the days. And we'll figure it out. Like I said, Monday early, maybe not. I'm probably not going to want to do that one just because I'm still going to work on Monday, but I'll just work later in the evening. But this will probably be Thursday, Friday, noon. Think about it. All right. Enough of all of that. Let's get to the topic of the week, which is wargaming's popularity. It has been increasing, I believe. And what are some ideas? What are some ways that we can get it to increase? So this is a topic that I have ideas, but I want to see you guys participate here. I want to see you guys ask me questions, throw out ideas, and then let's do them. Let's commit to these. Let's do what we can, because that's part of what it's going to need to be is us doing things to increase popularity even more than it is. And so what I'm talking about is, the main thing, I think the number one thing is share the content, right? Share the love, spread the love, get this stuff out there. What do I mean by that? So pictures, right? You take pictures of yourself playing games, after action reports or replays, whatever you want to call them. Videos, if you like making videos, start a YouTube channel, start a wargaming YouTube channel, or get with someone who has a channel and provide videos for them, so that way your videos have a wider audience built in, but there's more content, which is something I've tried to do on my channel. But everyone who's committed, and I don't want to call anyone out because I know there's people have a lot of stuff going on, but I've had a couple people that were like, yeah, I'll make some videos and that'd be cool, but I can just put them right on your channel, and then that way it's good for everybody. And then they were not able to fulfill it. But regardless, maybe it's other people too, right? Other people's channels. Written reviews, write written reviews. Overviews, just you maybe have to be a full review. Like, I'm not a reviewer. You don't have to be a reviewer. Write an overview. First impressions. You just get a game, you want to share it, it's new and exciting, share that, etc. You probably say, well, Wayne, people do that, I do that. Or what are you saying? But here's the key, and here's where something that I saw on Gary's and Dan's, Ardwolf, and Dan No Enemies Here, saw on one of their shows, was Gary said, this was like great point on Gary. So one of the few great points he has, just kidding, Gary, is that no one at Concept World has ever converted someone to become a wargamer. Great point, Gary, right? Fantastic point. You're preaching to the choir, right? You're preaching to the converted. So does that mean you shouldn't post these things on Concept World, the Solitaire Wargamers, or the Wargamers Facebook group, or for the Board Game Geek page for those particular games? Of course not. You should share the content. So what I look at it is two things. One, increasing the amount of wargaming content that's available, period. And if that's in wargaming communities and wargaming centric areas, that's great. Let's do it. But also, we need to share it outside of our zones, right? Outside of our communities. We can't only share things amongst ourselves, right? We're already the converted. A lot of the people, and that's one of the things with my channels when I started it, first of all, I want to focus on solitaire wargaming specifically, not just wargaming in general, but solitaire, which I've done. I know I've done. But also I wanted to leverage a little bit more towards beginner. Now, we've covered bigger games, we've covered deeper games, we've looked at blind swords and stuff like that. We haven't looked at OCS, and I don't intend to. First of all, it's not solitaire naturally. You guys can play it solitaire, blah blah blah. Or we already had that discussion. But something like that, that's scary to someone that's new to wargaming or has never heard of wargaming or has heard of it but is just turned off by it. But that is a very valid game, very valid system, those types of things. But for the popularity, for the health, of our hobby, we have to increase the popularity and continue to increase the popularity of it. That means making content. I don't just mean making videos when I say I'm a content creator, right? Like I make YouTube videos. Those pictures, written reviews, overviews, AARs, whatever, man, all that stuff, right? Share it in other groups. Go to the solitaire groups on Facebook that are not wargaming. Solo board gamers, board gamers, Board Game Geek outside of wargaming, right? Board Game Geek is a little bit more fragmented because of the way that people will post in each game specifically. So again, you have to look for that game to know what's there. But if you go to, say, the one player guild, right, post there, post your wargaming stuff there, your solitaire wargaming stuff. I want eyeballs that are not wargamer eyeballs, right, on these games. And if you start, it almost doesn't matter what game you start with, even the heavy stuff, you may convince some people. If you post it and you make it look fun, people are going to go, really? And they're going to see the history. And they're going to, and a lot of people love history that don't play war games. It's not like, well, everyone who loves history is automatically a war gamer, and that's just how it is. No, I loved history, and I didn't discover war games till just, I think the other week I said like 5 years ago. I think it was like 8 years ago, but still, right? I've been playing war games for decades, and I could have been. I've been playing D&D for like 25 years, but I've not been playing war games for that long. So, more than like 10, but still. I'm going to check some of these comments from you guys. I've been just going on. Which says, lately, I've been asking my daughter to decide where reinforcements go for their Walt Creek game. I explain the situation, give my pros and cons for each choice, and I'll let her decide. Tiny steps. Absolutely. And if you want to convert one at a time, can start with your kids. Show them your passion, show them your interest in it. Does that mean they're definitely going to play it? Well, of course not. But at least you're giving them that option, right? And you're kind of showing them and including them in it. When I mentioned sharing the content, sharing outside of our communities, right? It's not just I look at my Facebook group, Solitaire War Games, War Gamers, but I'm also a member of, as I'm trying to find my groups, and I'm not Solo Board Gamers on Facebook, and it's a much more active area. Let's see, 7,000. Hang on. It has 37,000 members. Solitaire War Games, the group that I probably am in primarily, has 19,000 members. So, twice as many members, and that's just one group, one example of a group that you can post in, and you can share your passion in and share your content. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Let's share this hobby. Let's share this wonderful hobby with other people. And talking about going into sort of even more specifics here. Let's talk about a designer, someone that I want to point out and call out in a positive way. A designer that is crossing, those boundaries, right, of kind of wargaming with non-wargaming, and I think bringing more people in, and that's David Thompson. So most people here are probably really familiar with his name. He really burst on the scene in 2018 with Pavlov's House. Let's pull up. His Board Game Geek designer credits. So he's listed as designed 31 games. You kind of look back, and you can see, for instance, I'm thinking of, like I said, 2018 is when he really came on the scene. He had some other designs, but really what got popular for war gamers and then sort of the general. And here's where you look at someone like David Thompson, you can see where there's sort of the mainstream and his war games. But if you have the same designer designing games like this, you're going to get crossover, right? You're going to get people that are looking for a regular Euro game. Now, Euro game doesn't really do Euro games, but Ameritrash style, right? Competitive games, whatever you want to call them. And you're gonna look at that, and you're gonna look him up and go, "What's this Pavlov's House?" And you're gonna click it. Next thing you know, you're playing a war game, baby, and you're hooked, right? Maybe you're hooked. But let's look and kind of things that sort of examples here, and hopefully, let me see, you guys can see it, but I'll describe it as well. So, for instance, we look at War Chest and Pavlov's House, both 2018 from David Thompson. Pavlov's House, I would say, for the wargaming crowd, a tremendous success. It has 967 ratings on Board Game Geek. Now, remember, these are relatives. Doesn't mean, there's many, 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 many more people that have played the game and never rated it on Board Game Geek. There's people that have played it, they've never even probably heard of Board Game Geek, and that's okay. My point is more just compare sort of relative to each other. Because if we compare to each other, it's more fair. So, something like Pavlov's House, 967 ratings, so just under 1,000. War Chest, right, a much more generic, less of a war game, more of like a little strategy game, right? It's like playing chess. 6,300. So 6 times as many ratings. Again, it's not bad. It's not good or bad. What I'm pointing out is he designs a game like War Chest. It has 6 times as many ratings as Pavlov's House. Pavlov's House is probably considered a runaway success in the wargaming industry, I would say. I mean, incredible success for DVG. But look at War Chest, 6 times as popular? Are you kidding me? Again, not a bad thing. But now the good thing is, though, you have a designer like David Thompson. He makes War Chest, Pavlov's House. People see them both. Next thing you know, I guarantee you have people playing Pavlov's House that would not play a traditional war game to start off with. But if you get them started, that's how you get them hooked, right? You give them the little taste, and then you get them hooked. I didn't start with an OCS system or something. I didn't even start with a hex encounter game per se. I think I've told you guys, I think my first really like modern-ish war game was Memoir 44, right? Very introductory, basic level. Got me hooked, and I started digging in farther and deeper and finding more. Let's keep going up. We'll look at stuff like Castle Eider, 420 ratings. Undaunted Normandy, 7,200, right? Again, a tremendous success. Published by Castle Hider, published by DVG. Undaunted Normandy, published by Osprey. A bigger publisher in that sense, more broad publisher, bigger group of people that are playing those games. But again, you play Undaunted Normandy, call it a war game, you get into that theme, the history, some of the mechanics. You're going to lead into those other games, those games that are more traditional war games that we look at and say, oh, look, a war game. The For What Remains series, not as popular. I don't think it did very well for them. For DVG, by Stealth and Sea did okay, etc., etc. New one's coming. Undaunted's Stalingrad, huh? Anyway, so you guys, let's see what some comments we got. Steve says, also think more commitment to solo gaming helps too. People can still play and then maybe move on to Vassal or Tabletop Simulator or attend a convention. Plant the seed and let it grow. Yes. So that's kind of what I'm getting at, right? Is plant that seed. Get just the kernel, just the interest. You don't have to say, oh, I invited him over to play. I invited him over to play Long Street Attacks, Blind Swords. I love that system. I love it. And then we played. He put up with it for a couple hours. He drank 12 beers and then he left, but didn't drive. I guess he didn't enjoy it. He didn't even want to finish the game. And I asked him if he wanted to come back and finish it. He said, I'm busy. He said he had to mow his lawn. Maybe that wasn't the right game to start with, right? To get into the hobby with. Maybe we should have started with something like Undaunted Normandy, right? You play that. This is fun. You get the history. You get attractive artwork. You get that gameplay. You start being a little competitive. This and that. You're working against it. Next thing you know, hey, well, this other one, this game covers this. Oh, it looks a little more intense. But you've already covered something that is a basic version of it, right? He's already now used to history combined with the gameplay that's trying to simulate the history to a degree, right? Again, some of these games aren't simulations. They're just more historical gaming. Christopher says, what did I miss? Oh, is that? Oh, for your daughter. She does not give me option B type answer. She explains her reasoning. One of the first things she wanted to do when visiting was check out the table and see if the reinforcements arrived. That's hilarious. That's awesome. I love that. Very funny. Charles says we need to bring non-war gamers in, people who love Save Root. Lots of conflict in that game. Yep, we do. And it's not about dumbing down wargaming. It's not about taking the true historical simulations we love and changing them. That's not what that is at all. What it is making the hobby more attractive by having different points of entry. And then someone can go as far or as deep as they want. And as soon as they've reached their comfort zone or outside of it, they can pull back a little bit. And they're still playing war games. They're still playing Pavlov's House. Because you play Pavlov's House, it's a great game. It's not a wargaming simulation, right? It's a historical game. It has strategy, and it has little tactical little choices you make, and you're rolling dice, right? It's not a true historical simulation, but it's a great game. Dave is a great designer and a great guy. I work with him now in Valiant Defense number 5. Oh, that's right, Vince. I think I saw that on the old Facebook. When I find a modern system better than my old Avalon Hill and SPI games, then I will play them more. Grumbling Grognard says, that's cool. Hey, I don't care what you play. But we're talking about increasing the popularity of wargaming, right? So you play old, you want to be a Grumbling Grognard and play just the old SPI, Avalon Hill, four color palette or whatever it is back then, be my guest. Enjoy it. That's what you like to do. But for the, when the time comes that we need new games and we need new people playing them and we need new people buying games, right? So that when paper costs X amount and printing costs this and our art costs that and et cetera, and you add all these costs together and a publisher says, we literally can't even be in business making war games. That's a problem. And even if it says, well, it's a passion, it's a hobby. If you have publishers that are almost like it's a hobby to publish games, well, that's great. You have the passion, but it has to be a business as well. And we need people buying games for that. And that's where we need to start with certain people, getting people into the hobby, like David Thompson, someone that I you know, admire and look up to his games and just simply love his games is Herman Lutman. And sorry, Herm, I'll call you out a little bit here. I'm not going to call you out, but just show. I don't know if I can pull that tab up here. I'm going to figure it out here, guys. All right, share screen, tab. I want to find the one with, there it is. There it is. Yeah. All right. Okay. So Herman Lutman. Here we talk about David Thompson, Undaunted Normandy, 7.2 thousand ratings, War Chest, 6,000 ratings, etc. And then we look at some Herman Lutman, who, again, huge fan, so many of his games, in magnificent style. One of my top war games of all time, 358 ratings. His most popular game is Dawn of the Zeds, third edition, 2.1 thousand. Okay, again, see, not a core war game, but say you play Dawn of the Zeds, and you're like, man, that was a blast. What else does Herman Lutman make? And you see something else, and you say, well, this Invaders from Dimension X, Solitaire, only 100 ratings, but that's interesting. It's a solitaire science fiction game. That'll be fun. It's a Hex Encounter. I don't know if you know this. It's Hex Encounter. Invaders from Dimension X is a Hex Encounter game. Look at that. Yeah, baby. So, it's one of the, again, that was one of the first Hex Encounter games I ever played, was Invaders from Dimension X. So you start playing that. Next thing you know, and this is literally what happened to me, is I was like, what else does he do? And I picked up Stonewall Sword, the first Blind Swords game I played. And then he had Hex Encounter. Oh, just beautiful. Rick Barber. Ooh. Too zoomed in. Rick Barber, absolutely gorgeous map. So the point is, not to call out Herm, because, again, Herman Lutman, tremendous designer of war games. But, look at the popularity. We compare some of these war games to non-war games. But what does that mean, though? Again, saying, Wayne, you want us to dumb down war games so that they, to appeal to the masses. Oh, rabble. Grumbling Grognard right now is rampaging right now as we speak. No, not saying it at all. What I'm saying is, I want to see designers that design more than just heavy war games, right? More than just a war game. I love the fact that David Thompson is designing, Pavlov's House and Undaunted Normandy and, War Chest, right? From the most basic sort of strategy game to a war game, a light war game, heavy on history, light on the simulation. That's okay. Guarantee there are people who have played Pavlov's House that went and said, or soldiers in postmen's uniforms, and said, I want to see what else does DVG make? So DVG publishes, a game by David Thompson. David Thompson, who designs games that sell 7,000 ratings, excuse me. That means they've probably sold far, far more than that, right? Those people look at him, and they look at his games, and he sees other games by DVG. They play his game from DVG. Then they start looking at other games by DVG. It's all about, as Steve said, planting that seed, getting that interest going. Christopher says, oops. Or introducing the game as secondary consideration away, that the game is the vehicle for the prospective game is interested in or wants to learn. Right. So we're talking about the, looking at the history, right? The topic, and say, it's not, you should play a war game. Here's a war game. Play this. But hey, I noticed that you like whatever this historical topic was, right? Let's talk about that. And maybe we talk about a book, or we talk about a movie or documentary or a TV show. We make fun of the stupid movie. We're like, well, that movie was terrible. But what's actually like that movie was so unrealistic. What's kind of realistic and really feels like the history of that? Oh, no, what? This game, let's play it, right? You don't tell people, hey, I think we should really train on commercial real estate development and residential real estate development, and I think we should simulate that. You think that'd be fun? I think so too. Let's play Monopoly. No, you just play Monopoly. You just play the freaking game, right? You got to be able to do that. You have to share it. You have to be able to play it and show people it. You then say, you know what? There's a game about that one. Try it out. Exactly. Chris, I read your mind. Even read that comment. I read your mind. Exactly how to do it. His generation is totally overwhelmed by a 20-page rulebook. I'm going to disagree with you there, Joseph. So what's today's generation? What is today's generation? I am technically a millennial. Was born in the 80s. I am not a Generation Xer. I'm a millennial. I'm not a Zoomer. Oh, Generation Z. Those guys, ooh, they're wild, right? Oh, those kids these days. But you know what? If I can handle a 20-page rule book, or maybe even a little bit more, I bet a Zoomer could too. I bet they could. You just got to make a TikTok video of it to cover it. No. Seriously though, I don't think we should label, and I'm going to call you out, Joseph. I don't think we should label and say, well, today's generation can't handle Roblox. Today's generation is just as intelligent as the previous generation. Interests are different, hobbies are different, things change over time. Obviously, the availability of computers, digital devices, means that is going to be, and the presence of gaming on them means that's going to be a focus of gaming, right? When wargaming was invented, what was it, the 60s? Yeah, I mean, some of you guys know better than me. It's well before I was born, decades before I was born. You didn't have a computer game to play, right? I mean, all you had was a board game, right? Well, now you have other options. So we're competing with that, right? War games are competing with that. It doesn't mean that they can't compete. It doesn't mean they don't have a chance. It doesn't mean that, well, these kids these days on their iPhones, they have no chance to learn a war game. Wrong way to look at it, man. Wrong way to look at it. That is a terrible way to look at it. Include them, right? Include them. And I mean, hey, maybe we should see, what I would like to see is more wargaming apps, like gaming apps, right? Little games that are tied into / has a game that is actual board game, right? A war game, paper version, right? Cardboard version, tying them together. So you have people that are interested in one can check out the other. I would love to see that. I mean, I know that I'm not saying, I know that it's probably a little bit of a pipe dream for most publishers, because most publishers in wargaming are very small, 1 or 2 people, and if you have people that are not in technology, they're not going to code a game, right? But, just an idea, right? Just think outside the box a little bit. Again, we're not changing what the games are. We're not changing our war games that they are. We're making them more accessible to other people. And if that means doing things a little differently than it used to be done, that's okay. A little bit of change is good. I'm not trying to change everything here. We still want historical simulations, right, at the core of our hobby. What it is, we all love, I've talked about this all the time, we love history. It's basically what we all share, right? We love history. We love simulating history. Some of us like it with a little bit more granular detail than others. Some of us want to know exactly how many rivets. It has to be very accurate on that tank. Others are just like, hey, I just like the history. It's fascinating to me, the human condition, how people treat each other, conflicts we've had, human suffering, all these horrible things, but wonderful things and everything in between. I want to see that in my gaming, right? I don't want it to just be about growing vegetables in the garden, right? I want to see conflict, things that have affected thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people. I want to see that represented in a game and kind of experience that myself, see if I can change history, all the things that we love about wargaming. Pierre says, what do you mean by Joseph G? Plenty of modern games targeting younger gamers have long rulebooks issues, and older wargamers have awfully written rulebooks. Yes. So it's, new or old. So again, you guys know that's my thing, right? Is rulebooks. Bad rulebooks are bad rulebooks turn people away from a game, right? So you have someone like me who plays a ton of war games, obviously, constantly churning, getting new games, right? Yeah. That's what I do. So it's my job. Well, hobby. It's not my job. Trust me. But I go through so many new games, and when I get these bad rule books, man, first of all, if I end up at a point where I'm doing reviews, I call it out. Simple as that. Secondly, there's some that are so bad that I kind of start learning, and then I'm just like, I'm not even gonna play this game. I'm not even covered on my channel. I'm not gonna play it myself. I'm not cover my channel. It's going in the heap, and then trade it away, sell it, maybe sit on it for a while until I change my mind or just change how I feel. Thank you, Pierre. And I don't have to agree with me, but appreciate that. Appreciate support. Gremlin Godmard says, I think we better put to say new wargamers are totally overwhelmed by a 20-page rule book. That I can agree with. I can probably agree with. No, and again, there's always an exception, right? There's always that person who, you'll see it on Facebook somewhere. Someone will say, oh, what's a new war game, a light war game? And someone will say, well, I got started with Enemy Action Ardennes. What do you think of that? I go, well, cool. Good for you. That's awesome. I don't think Enemy Action Ardennes, Enemy Action Kharkov, right, is the best choice for most people new to the hobby. I just do not feel that's the case. Totally completely wrong, Joseph says to Pierre. Today's games are flooded with post-publication errata. I don't know what do you mean by that? Kenneth says, I don't think too many gamers have the patience to learn a war game. A war game requires multiple sittings to understand it and appreciate it. Most gamers require a big payoff from their first sitting. So I think we look at it as like this. Wargaming does not need to be played by most gamers, right? And that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should not be, we need to make war games that most gamers play. And I know what you're saying, by the way. I know exactly what you're saying. But you're right. Yeah, if someone who sits down to play Wingspan from Stonemaier Games, they may or may not like war games, but they do not need to be our target, right? We don't have to say, well, all those people that are playing Carcassonne and Wingspan and we need and Mage Knight, we need to win all them over to wargaming. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is the hobby of wargaming needs multiple entry points. We need people. Two key things here. I don't know. There's a bunch of comments waiting, so I'm gonna get a little ranty for a minute. We need two key things. One, we need people who are providing content and sharing it. And again, that's not just I'm just mean YouTubers making videos. I want to see you guys who don't make videos. I want to see you post pictures on Twitter. I want you to tweet them out. Yeah, get on the old Twitter. I want different Facebook groups. Okay, I want you to go to Reddit. I mean, there's a Hex Encounter Reddit group. Now you say, well, Wayne, that's Hex Encounter. Exactly. So maybe post there, but maybe then go to the Board Game Geek page on Reddit or subreddit. Go outside of your community, right? Let's share this stuff. Be bold and say, hey, everybody, look what I like. You're not actively trying to convert anybody. You're just putting it out there. You're putting it out there for people to see. I know for a fact that I have videos that people will write to me, they'll comment, or they'll email me, or they'll contact me on Wargaming saying, hey, you helped get me into Wargaming. This was the first war game I played, or this was the second one, and I wasn't really sure, and then I just played this one, and your video helped me. That tells me already I'm helping you onboard new wargamers. And I'm not having to dumb anything down. They just find whatever video, whatever game looks most interesting to them. They check it out, and it then gets them to go to that next level, right? To now investigate and become invested in the hobby and look at what else they can find. So sharing content, and then 2, making more gateways open, more avenues into wargaming. And again, it doesn't change all of wargaming as it is. When you have higher level simulations, mid-level, low-level strategy, and then playing war and flipping cards over, right? The different levels of it, right? Have it where there's different ways to go into each of those. Not just one. I want different games. I want David Thompson designing different types of games that get people into wargaming. I want Herman Lutman designing different games. I want someone to play a game about zombies. Not even know what a war game is, not care about the term, whatever. Play a game about zombies and suddenly go, this was kind of fun. Or this was a blast. I loved it. What else Herman Lutman does? Oh, he does this. Oh, that looks interesting. I'm going to check that out. this. And again, it leads into more, right? I had a history a love of history, excuse me, and World War II kind of was my thing for as a child growing up. And then I got into memoir. So memoir was one of the games that got me into it, right? And it really got me playing kind of war games, the beginning of war games. But then I went into like weird stuff, like I said, Invaders from Dimension X, which is Hex Encounter though, but it's all about bugs and like Space Marines fighting. Some people would laugh at that and be like, "Well, that's not a war game." Okay, it's Hex Encounter, and it has rules, combat factors, movement factors, all this stuff, line of sight. And next thing you know, I'm playing other games. I'm finding in Magnificent Style, and then I find Blind Swords system, and I'm playing, Hex Encounter American Civil War game from Herman Lutman. It all's tied together, baby. And I felt way behind. Way behind. Let me work through a little bit, guys. My apologies. I was kind of ranting and raving, but I better keep it down. So, here's the deal. There's some discussion going on here, you guys. It's not probably not gonna cover. I'm not gonna touch on. I'm not. There's some things that I believe stand on their own. I don't need to be an advocate for certain things. Yeah, some of you guys, this is getting a little too personal here. Relax, everybody. We're trying to share the love of the hobby here, not name call. All right, so let's see what we got. So Vince says, key thing war games/board games offer is a social aspect. This needs greater emphasis, in my opinion. So obviously, as a solitaire war gamer, I don't have. The problem is that I don't. There's not really a lot of people near me that would be interested in playing war games. There's a couple, and it's hard. So one thing is that war games, for the most part, are 2-player affairs, right? It's 1v1. There are games that are multiplayer. There are games you can split up each side a little bit and this and that. But the vast majority, right, are 1v1. They're not multiplayer. Traditional board games, Euro games, Ameritrash, etc., the vast majority are multiplayer. They're not just 1v1. They're not just solitaire either. They're multiplayer. So I can go to a store or a gaming convention or whatever, and I don't mean a wargaming convention, I mean a gaming convention, right? Dice Tower Con or something, and I can sit down with a game. I can sit down with a group of people at a local gaming store and play one of these Euro games, one of these regular games, traditional board game, and have 3, 4, 5, 6 people play, and it's just shared social experience. Or I can sit down with a war game, and it's me and one other dude looking at each other. Probably a dude, right? Maybe a girl. Maybe. Odds are a dude. And that's the experience. Not saying it's not fun. Love the game, love the history. I can be very competitive when I get started. But, by war games by their nature, for the most part, are 2-player games, are 2 people, 1v1. Not going to be a social aspect of all group of people sharing laughs. Because if you ever played Dungeons and Dragons, you ever played a traditional board game, and I'm sure all of us, even whether you're a war game or not, you played Monopoly probably when you were a little younger and a little bit more willing to just ignore the fact the game sucked and the fact you were having a social experience with people, right? You just had fun with your family, with your friends, joking, throwing dice, etc. That's not the goal of wargaming in general. So I don't mean to disagree with you, Vince, but I'm on the line. I understand what you're saying, but we have to be careful because that's not the goal of most wargaming, right? Most war games, 1v1, are not about the social experience per se. Charles says, I believe Facebook Wargamers takes hex encounters and miniature picks. Yeah, so but instead of going on the Wargamers group or whatever, go to a non-Wargamers group. Find just a board gamers group and post them. I mean, maybe not the miniature stuff. They may ban you from that. Not ban you, but they may be like, "What is this?" All right, let's move on a little bit. I know we got a few more comments here. And Eric, thank God they're moving to mounted boards. Can't believe non-war games all have mounted boards and good components at a lower price, but war games can't do it. Yeah, they just because and again, most people know this. I'm not saying anything new. Economies of scale, right? You print Revolution Games prints what 3,000 copies of a war game. How many copies of a game does Fantasy Flight Games print? 30,000, 50,000. I mean, if you got 10, 20, 30 times as many games, well, costs are going to go down, right? So you can have all mounted everything, linen finish everything, highest quality of everything. Steve says, I've seen veteran gamers playing a newbie face to face and absolutely crushed them. Imagine what a turnoff that is. The veteran said should be an ambassador, explain things, help them avoid mistakes. Exactly. It should be a teaching experience, teaching and learning. If you want to talk about shared experience, Vince, and having that social aspect, that should be that. Not because it should not be competitive. You should not look at that as your competitor, right? You're sitting down with a newbie to teach them a game. Or if you're like, well, they know it, but they're really new. I don't know how to play, but I'm really new. Can't wait to crush you. Who does that? Like, that's not fun. I'm not saying you can't win, right? Use your strategy that and ultimately maybe you win. But don't let them win. This isn't right with this whole goes back to the you let your spouse win at a game or your kids or whatever, just a friend who's not good at it. I'm not saying you necessarily have to let them win, but maybe take a different tact, have a little bit of social skill, social awareness that you want to get them interested in it and competitive and get those juices flowing, not just like you were crushed. How does that feel? Like, oh, it feels like I never want to play this again. Bye. Richard says, interesting point. I just look at Wayne's and others' live streams have been very motivating and inspiring. It's fun. It's fun to talk to you guys. And, I've been in some of the other streams occasionally. I was just in Gary's and Dan's the other day for a little bit. They're like, oh, Wayne's in the house. I was in for a little bit. We're talking about bourbon and then other liquor and stuff. So then after like 20 minutes, I left because I was like, okay, and I tried to bring up wargaming a little bit and it didn't go back to wargaming at all. And not saying we can't talk about other topics because we do, but we want to focus on wargaming. That is why we're here. That's our shared experience, right? We can talk about other things and then we share other things and that's fun. But our shared experience, right, pretty much all of us here, right, is wargaming. Either an interest in or actually playing it. Steve says, make the gaming experience a fun learning event, not a humiliating defeat. Yep. I mean, what else can you say? It should be a learning event. And you went into detail before. Talk about the details. Give them strategy tips. Maybe during the game. Maybe if you want to wait till after, fine. But don't crush them and just rub their face in it. Say, see if you're doing something or struggling. Say, well, if I was playing you, I'd probably do this, and this is why. Put yourself in their shoes. And we do it enough playing solitaire, right? We play both-handed, two-handed, right? Why can't we do it face-to-face? Here, sorry about that, Wayne. You're doing great work in one live stream. No problem. You guys are fine. I people disagree. It happens. I'm not, I have a problem with that. I'm not going to go into, any current politics. We're not getting into that crap. There's other places for that. Other live streams, and again, we're not name calling. We're not labeling. What labels we have or war games. And even then we occasionally disagree on that. So no big deal. Vince says, take your point, but the 1v1 dynamic is an inherited one. How about a 2v2 like 4-player Undaunted? How about if war games were designed specifically for multiplayer? I'd love to see some more multiplayer-friendly war games. Now, and touch on this topic, and it's true, someone mentioned this earlier, and certain war games can be learned and played in an evening, and some cannot. Heavy, large hex encounter war games cannot be played quickly. I've seen it on my channel, played it myself, covered them. And sometimes it is really hard to film it because of the way it works. Well, now you add in multiple people, two people or more, right? You're not going to be able to sit down read a rule book and play a heavy hex encounter game with a lot of simulation rules. You're not, and that's okay. Save those games, right? Save those for the higher end, the deeper end, the more involved, the convention long 4-day convention or something, right? Or whatever. Or you go to your game store and you have people that meet there and you know you can play all day or something like that. Or at someone's house, whatever. But how about a quick game? Undaunted is a quick game, quick playing game. It's history. It's not much of a simulation per se, but it's the history and the gaming and the shared experience. You have multiplayer of that together, and then it leads into other stuff. And now next thing you know, maybe next week someone says, hey, I got Pavlov's house from this David Thompson guy. Well, let's play that. Oh, wonder what else does DVG does. And next thing you know, they're playing, solo, but they're playing Hornet Leader, right? They pick up Zero Leader, and now they're playing all the same games, that we play, that you see on Facebook and on Board Game Geek, etc. If the Mighty Endeavor is big enough for 4 players, I don't know. I own it, but I haven't really played it. Ben says an idea I've been kicking around based on some research on Baston is the idea of a field hospital, multiplayer co-op game dealing with wounded soldiers. Wargame? No, but it sounds like an interesting idea. Probably not a war game, but that's okay. Mighty Endeavor is big enough for 4, says Kenneth. Brian, I enjoy all your videos. Much appreciated. Hey, I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Brian. Appreciate all you guys. Peter, wargamers seeking to increase the popularity of wargames need to go where the wargamers are not. Malls, other events, museums, open houses, model shows, etc. Exactly. That's what I said. That's one of my 2 things, right? Share the content with people who are not wargamers. Yes, we all want to see the cool pictures of A Most Fearful Sacrifice. The definitive Gettysburg game of the market today, as said by Wayne Hansen. But how about someone who's not a wargamer, who doesn't identify as a wargamer in that sense, right? Maybe post in that Facebook group a picture of A Most Fearful Sacrifice. Tell them the designer and the publisher and what it's about in a short little quote or something, right? Let them know. And you will have people, some people might be like, oh, whatever. All it takes is you start getting a couple people that are like, oh, what's this? I'm going to look into that more. Share them other places. Go to your local gaming store. Maybe my local gaming store, we had one that had some war games because the owner was like an old ASL player. Then it closed down, kind of deservedly so, I'll be honest, because at one point we had tried to buy some, I was meeting with some squaddies and we were playing Magic the Gathering and non-wargaming. But we're playing Magic the Gathering and we wanted to buy some cards. And he's like, oh, you have to go to another store to order those. So like, well, can we just order them from you? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, okay, well, good luck. And they went out of business. But anyway, bring a war game. If you have local friends that do play, meet at the store. Don't just meet at your house in your basement or your little man cave or your big man cave. I've seen some of them on Facebook. Some of you guys got some crazy man caves. But go to the geek store. Right? Go to the gaming store, take up a table, get those people looking at it where they have to see, whoa, look at what is that? Make them look at it, that will then drive interest in it outside of you, your friend, your circle, whatever. Heck, bring a solo game. So you got to get out of the house, go pick up a coffee, go to the game store, set your solo game up. I did that at a convention. I had people asking questions at a Dice Tower Con a few years ago. And I had people that were asking questions like, oh, they're asking. Because I was sitting there I wasn't even really playing it. I was just more pushing counters around, drinking coffee, just kind of relaxing. But I showed it. I was basically doing a demo, almost showing it off, and then even realize it, right? It wasn't preaching to the converted, preaching to the choir. I was showing it to people who are not wargamers so that they would even know of its existence. Something we forget. People will not know of the existence of these games. Someone may know the term war game, but what does that mean? Hell, we play war games and some of us don't know or can't agree on what the term means. Now imagine someone who's never played one or they don't think they've ever played one. Maybe they played Memoir 44 and they loved it. They didn't realize that there was so much more to the hobby that they would love, right? and they do love history. You see these people out there who love history, who, again, would have no idea what the heck a war game is. It may not be for them ultimately, but maybe it is. And the key is was as we grow the hobby, and the hobby is looking great. There's good publishers, lots of great games, solitaire games, obviously my focus, 2-player games, multiplayer games. Hobby's growing. Let's keep it growing, right? Let's keep this trend going. High quality components when possible. If not, because it's maybe a folio game, smaller publisher, that's okay too. Paper map's okay. Convince people that that doesn't matter, right? Show them that that is not a big deal. It's about the gameplay and the content, not the production at times. Well, production's important, but you know what I mean. Pierre, along the same vein of putting games in front of people's eyes, during my medieval PhD, I introduced so many other students to Men of Iron, and they all loved it. They just never heard of them before. Simple as that. They hadn't heard of it. They didn't even know of its existence, right? It wasn't that no one cares about wargaming nowadays, or young gamers don't have to get off my lawn. By the way, in between yelling at people to get off their lawn, there's talking about young wargamers, young people. Young people can't even read anymore. They can. They're just as intelligent as you are. Shocking, I know. Just as intelligent as I am. Maybe. They just need to be pointed in the right direction. They need to know of these things, right? Need to be introduced to them. So ultimately, that's kind of what my point of this whole live stream was, is that we're doing great. We're doing real well. Publishers are making games. They're covering a variety of topics. Let's share this love with other people, not just in amongst ourselves. As much as, we want to talk to only the people that we know we're comfortable to talk to, that have the same interests as us. We know we have the same interests as us, right? I know for sure. No one's going to say anything because you have the same interests as me, because we're in the same Facebook group. We're in the same whatever. Go somewhere else, man. Show it to someone else. Let other people see it. Don't force it down their throat. Don't change what this hobby is. You don't need to change it. Just don't gatekeep, and don't make the more gates available. So I see more avenues, more gates into wargaming, and just show those gates off, show those ways off, so people even understand it. Steve says, we're in a new golden age of wargaming. Let's not waste the opportunity for hobby growth. Damn right, Steve. I may not have been around back in the old days for the old golden ages and whatnot. I'll tell you, I love what I'm seeing. I feel like it's better now than it was the 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I feel like it's tremendous. There's good publishers producing good games. And by the way, just because there's a negative game or negative review on a game, or a game that's produced poorly, or the rule books suck, okay, we learn from it. We move on. We go to the next one. Don't have to. And nowadays there is so much. They were not all going to have the shared experience of the same game, but there's going to be games that a lot of us play, a lot of us talk about, a lot of us share, and let's share that with not only with each other but with other people as well. So, all right, any final questions, guys? Let's wrap it up here in a couple minutes. So throw them out there. Questions, comments, concerns, anything you got. Oh, yeah, the other thing related to that, so yeah, questions, comments, concerns related to this is let me know what you want to do. Like I said, guys, it's probably going to be Thursday, Friday. Let me know, probably comments either here, comment afterwards, contact me, the usual email, Board Game Geek. I'm on Facebook. Let me know what you'd like to see for the future schedule. Noted, logged. I'll log that in the briefing book here. Grumbling Grognard continues to grumble. Let me know if Thursday or Friday works best for you guys. Again, I know there's probably some of you who won't be able to make it, which really sucks, because I've had a lot of fun with you guys here on Sunday. But we're going to have to switch. We're just going to have to switch. Friday, Sunday's not going to work, unfortunately. So we will go to Thursday or Friday, but I'm still going to stick to noon, probably, because I know I think there's some other shows other people have, and I don't want to step on toes. I don't need to step on other people's toes. That's not what this is for. This is for an additional sort of show and experience for people. Community. That's how I consider it. Our community over here. Vince says, cheers, Wayne. Have a nice day. You too, Vince. I really appreciate that. And all you guys, all y'all. Christopher, happy nappies, Wayne. Oh, man. It's been a long few days, but it's been great. My son home. And can't wait to keep it going and see what trouble we can get into. Adios, amigos. Kenneth, Chris, Vince, everybody. I can't name names. Wish I could wish it showed me names of who's in here, who's watching. But everyone who's participated today, everyone who's commented on all my past videos, I really appreciate it. Hey, if you see a video of mine you like, watch it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, let me know why. Maybe before you give the thumbs down. But I don't get too many thumbs down, so I'm not too worried about it. We know what we like, right, guys? So, all right. Well, continue to share. Just share your. Just share the hobby, okay, guys. Final message, everybody. Share with people. Pictures, videos, text. I don't care. Put it in other groups, not just wargaming groups. Other groups. I want you to throw it in their faces. I want to go to don't in a specific group. Don't go to Monopoly group or something. But go to other places and share the love of wargaming because we love it and want other people to experience that love as well. So, all right, everybody. Until next time. Later.